Welcome to the JR&Skipps podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the World Cup finals. We're going to be giving our rundown of the World Cup, basically just a summary of best players, flops, and our general sentiments about the entire tournament. Tap in. Yo, Skips, what are you saying?
Yeah. Speaking about the World Cup final, though, Spain versus Argentina, I think first things first, it's important to touch on the fact that at the beginning of the World Cup, myself and Jay,
Oh my
uh,
God.
our prediction, I did predict Spain to win the World Cup, so good stuff. And Jay
Mm.
predicted Argentina, but still, good ball knowledge though. The fact that our two predicted teams eventually got to the final, so
Yes, now.
yeah,
Yes,
props to
now.
myself and JR. So,
Yes, now.
going back to the match, yeah.
Mm.
I think this was like a masterclass about top performance, top tactical teams versus football thuggery. I do think Spain basically showed, why they won the Euros and why they've won the World Cup by being the best in the tournament by
Mm-hmm.
basically keeping it simple. So, JR, what are you saying in terms of Spain's style of play? How did you find out and how they performed?
I think it caught me by surprise. But in our prior episode, we talked about if there was any team that was well fitted to play Argentina, it's basically Spain, right? Because Argentina thrive off chaos while Spain imposed control, right? And you could see it throughout the whole game. Argentina tried all their dirty tricks, to get the game into a chaotic state, but Spain just kept everything cool, controlled, and kept it ticking. And we could see that, in the stats for the game. I think it was 20 attempts and 12 on targets for Spain and none for Argentina, which is
None, man,
crazy,
none.
right?
Crazy.
Even in my wildest dreams, I didn't know Spain were going to over dominate like that, right? Argentina tried everything. They tried to break up play. They tried to be physical. They just couldn't find like a footing in the game, right? Messi was nowhere to be found, and I think a lot of criticism has come his way. But like I said, if you're not willing to walk horses off the ball and run your legs off, you're not getting the game into a chaotic state against a team like Spain. So kudos to Spain for how they approach the game. It shows like they believe in their style of football, and like you mentioned, they've just been getting better and better and better as the tournament progressed. Deserved winners, in my opinion. Argentina, even though I wasn't fully expecting them to win, I thought they were going to put up a better fight. But hey, I guess that's what happens in football.
Yeah, and honestly, I kind of found it disappointing because if we want to go back to the Argentina-England game, when England went to goal ahead, it kind of felt like Argentina remembered how to play football. There was like total dominance of that game. So it was kind of a
True.
shocker to see how they performed in the final. And
Yeah,
maybe we
yeah.
just have to give props to Rodri because as we touched on earlier, Rodri kind of showed like a masterclass in how to play the number 6 role, in
Mm-hmm.
terms of ball control, domination, giving the right passes, dictating the tempo of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. I mean, traditionally, your performances at
yeah,
the World Cup
yeah,
usually is good enough to earn you a Ballon d'Or shout. But I
agreed.
don't know if Rodri was consistent enough throughout the season. But yeah, to your point, he showed why he's revered by his teammates. And I think this World Cup win and performance has put him slightly above or in the same echelon as a player like Sergio Busquets, in my opinion,
Definitely.
as one of the greatest DMs I've ever watched in my lifetime. So, and it's no surprise that they are both Spanish players, right? Also, props to Fabian Ruiz and Dani Olmo.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
Dani
yeah.
Olmo.
Their work rate in the midfield on that day was a very, very essential in nullifying Argentina. Before we leave this topic about Argentina's style of play, to your point about Argentina remembering how to play after they went a goal down against England, we saw some of the same thing play out in the extra time after they went a man down.
True, true.
Argentina all of a sudden became threatening, and I kept saying to myself, if you could play like this against
What have
Spain
you
with
been
10 men,
doing, man?
then why didn't you do that? So that basically affirmed to me that it was a coaching decision for them to play that way all game, and it was not something like the occasion was too big for them. So L to Scaloni and props to De La Fuente, on the Spanish coaching staff.
Yeah, very, very good point. Yeah, they did wake up right after, I think, in the extra time, just as
In
you
the extra
said.
time, yeah.
So that's kind of poor from Scaloni, to be honest, because when you have a team that features Messi, which has actually been on proper form in this World Cup, and you decide to play ugly football, that's just not good enough, especially in the
It's
World Cup
crazy.
final.
It was a
Well,
poor showing for sure.
yeah, and still speaking on Argentina, though, I think we saw like demonstration of what a sore loser actually is.
Oh
because
my.
when Spain eventually won, when the referee blew the whistle and the players ran onto the pitch, man, the Argentina players went crazy. You saw
Saw them
punches being
fighting,
thrown, Paredes throwing punches, Rodri, I think it
gouge
was,
people's eyes. Like, what's going on?
bro, like he won
Romero,
the last
basically, they
time.
know how to dish it out, but they cannot receive
Can't
it, which is
take it.
crazy,
Exactly.
right?
You won the last time and everything was peaceful. You got a trophy. Suddenly you're causing chaos because you
They
lost.
made fun. Don't forget when they won the last time, they made fun. They had the homophobic chant about Mbappe's
In
then
the
at the time
semis, yeah.
girlfriend.
Oh,
They had the
true,
racist.
true.
They had the racist chant about most of the French players not being from France and being from Africa. Dibu
But
Martinez was basically
throwing
making tantrums like, so you guys are bad winners, quote and unquote. Spain even did dished it out as much as Argentina did the last time, and they
they
already
didn't
saw
because
fighting everywhere. It's crazy, man.
yeah, like during the whole epic battle after the L, like Gavi sort of got some punches from I think Paredes.
Paredes,
Uh,
yeah.
and now you have Gavi saying in the media that people shouldn't go after Argentina. So that basically tells you what a good winner is, and in reference to Argentina, what a bad loser is. So
Yep.
well, once again, props to Spain and Argentina. Take the L and just move on.
Another L.
Okay, so moving away from football topics and still on the Argentina-Spain final, we saw the first halftime show, 30 minutes.
Oh
You're
my
not really
God. The
expecting
game
that.
is gone.
Game is really gone, my G.
Get this woke
Shakira,
bullshit out of my sports, man.
Shakira shaking her waist during the halftime. Burna Boy doing his
Bro.
thing. Props to Burna Boy, but I don't think I want to see all these performances in the halftime. Keep that in the
And
American
sports, like,
sports.
please, 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 right now,
This is
we need to
serious
come
one.
back and get the game going. What's going on? Like, yeah, to your point, yeah, it was a great show, great performance, but there's a time and place for everything, right? Talking about timing and place. I understand the American model of sports is about capitalizing on the attention of everyone
Yeah.
watching at the same time, but yo, please let's leave football the way it is. I know they're going to call us grandpas in the comments and say we are resistant to change, but yes, I like it like that.
I don't
Bullshit out
think
of
we're
my sport, man.
resistant to change, man. We don't just like this type of change, man. Like,
Exactly.
let soccer be soccer, Let us.
Potato, potato, but yes, but I get you. I get you.
Okay, so I think we've had a very good conversation on the World Cup final. So let's look at the
Mhm.
World Cup as a whole.
As a
I
whole.
think it
Yeah.
would be nice to start in terms of our best player of the tournament. I'm
Mm,
going to give a honorable shout to, I'll say Rodri,
mm.
Bellingham, Messi, and Mbappe. But in terms of my best player of the tournament, man, I just have to go for Mbappe, even though he didn't make it into the final and even lost the third place.
Fair,
Mbappe
fair,
scored
fair.
10 goals in the tournament. That's the first
Mm,
ever in terms of amount of goals in one competition. He also
mm.
broke the record of the all-time World Cup goal scorers in terms of having 22 goals. And man, we're talking about a guy that's just 27 years old. So there's a very
Jeez.
good chance that he might end up scoring about 30 goals and probably set a record that will never be broken. But now we're having 48 teams. Maybe next one's gonna be 60 teams.
Exactly.
Only God knows
64. Oh
how
my
many
God.
games get played and how many goals. So, my G, what are you saying though? Who did you think was the best player of the tournament?
Yeah, you already touched on some of the standout performers. I think for this is one of those rare World Cup competitions where all the superstars basically showed why people were expectant from them to pop off in
Agreed.
this World Cup. I'm talking about the Vinicius Juniors, the Haalands. Even though Haaland was for Norway, he still managed to put his stamp on this tournament. Talking about Mbappe, Olise, Harry Kane, Bellingham. But yeah, Messi. But if I had to give it to someone, I think I'll probably say Jude Bellingham because it wasn't like a starter or a set in stone person for his team. There were talks on why he shouldn't be brought to the World Cup,
True.
so he came into the competition with something to prove. And boy, oh boy, regardless of whatever friction he
Turn
had
it
with his
up.
coach, he kept on showing the coach why he deserved to start on the pitch. So props to Mbappe. I'm not mad at that choice, but I'll say Jude Bellingham for me.
Yeah, I really like what you touched on right there in terms of the pressure Bellingham had to face, going into
Mm-hmm.
the World
Mm-hmm.
Cup in terms of
Yeah.
Morgan Rogers. And that's what a big player is because for you to
Yep.
have the ability to turn up under the highest level of pressure in the biggest games for your
Yep.
team, having your team go down to a goal and then you score the goal that equalizes or wins the
Mm.
game, big props to Bellingham.
Mentality.
So
Mentality.
I'm really
Yep.
not against that shout on Jude Bellingham in terms of your best player of the tournament. So
Yep.
we've talked on the best player. Maybe let's touch on the best match. Actually, I think
Ooh.
there are a couple good shouts. England, Mexico,
Mm-hmm.
probably was it Belgium, Senegal actually.
It was
So, but
Belgium, Senegal. Yeah.
yeah, Belgium, Senegal. But honestly, I'm just gonna go for the tango match in terms of the third place, France versus England, because
Mm.
as football fans, what we really want to see is
Want to see
goals.
goals?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
going into that game, there was talk about France was going to body England and make them pay for not getting to the final. And honestly, I had that feeling like, bro, they're going to turn up. And then you go in, and I think in barely 5, 10 minutes, it's 1-0,
Yes.
next thing 2-0.
Two
Bro,
nil.
my
Wow.
boy Saka getting a brace in the first half. I'm like, bro, what is going on here, man? So, what are you saying in terms of the best match? How did you find England France?
Yo, like I'm biased towards attacking, like you said, right? I love to see a match where there's lots of goals, and regardless that the score was 6-4, there were lots of missed chances as well. So the game could have gone to like say 7-6 or 8-7. So basically, it was a very interesting attacking game on display, full
Yeah.
strength from both teams. In terms of interesting or most exciting, I would say Argentina, Cape Verde is so strong candidates for me, right?
True.
There was
True.
tension right until the end of the game. Cape Verde showed heart and determination to take Argentina into the extra time and almost nick it, right, or take it to the penalties. I would say it's a split between the England Mexico game and the England France game, but gone to my head, I will lean towards the England versus France too because yeah, I love a game where there's goals and not just goals, quality goals, right? Even though the defending from France in the first half was shambolic, but they made up for it with their attacking prowess in the second half. So yeah, I agree with England France as well.
Okay, okay, perfect, perfect. So we've talked about the best performing player, best game. How about we switch it the other way around and look at the flops of the tournament? So I'm gonna start with Alexander Isak, 150 million pound transfer. I probably over bloated that price, but whatever.
Mm.
So Alexander Isak had nothing to show. It was basically MIA, not one goal, not one assist. I think that
Mm.
was a horrid performance from him. And even though there wasn't really a lot of expectation from Sweden in the World Cup, but come on, man,
Hmm.
just tap in, like
Do
do something.
something right.
What about you, though? What are you saying in terms of the flops of the tournament?
Maybe flop might be a hard word for him, but I'll say someone who kind of disappointed me the most, and it sucks for me to say, but Bruno Fernandes. I understand the context behind the entire Portuguese team being underwhelming, but I had a little bit more expectations for him, seeing especially the kind of season he had for United, where he just came off breaking the assist record in the Premier League. I felt he was in that creative bag, and his juices were flowing. Pause. And I think he was gonna. I felt he was gonna show us more of what he was made of. Pause again, but but yeah, it didn't go the way I expected. So to me, I would say that's my candidate for flop. No, wait, I think I have another one. Not about Lewis Yvette for Liverpool. Another
Bro,
big money signing.
it
Hmm?
stunk up the place, man.
Yo, that
Had
everybody
not,
just did bar.
did he get a goal or assist? I don't think he dropped any numbers. Nothing, eh?
He might have frauded an assist though, but I need to verify. But regardless, to show the fact that we can't even remember
That,
what he did for
that
a
that's the point. That's the
for a
point.
130 million player, my God.
Yeah, and
So
just to add one thing you said about Bruno, though, there was this talk about for Bruno to perform, it depends on the setup. So I think the setup was good enough, having ballers like Neves and Vitinha, and still he
these
couldn't,
so-called ballers, why didn't they do something?
we probably should be mentioning them in these flops of the
Right?
tournament.
Like,
But
that's why it's like I know the whole Portuguese team
yeah,
flopped, but I'm just clowning Bruno because as a Man U fan, I had higher hopes for him. But I know people who plays Vitinha and João Neves in a higher pedestal than Bruno, but they have no smoke for them. So my question to them is, if these are so-called world-class players, then what happened to them as well?
stop. Yep. I think that's been a very good discussion in terms of the World Cup 2026. It's actually
Mm.
been a very entertaining competition, and we saw lots of goals, lots of games, top performances from our favorite football players. But just before we wrap up, though, we're going to bring back our favorite butler of the week. Who do you think was a butler of the week, in reference
Oh,
to the
there's
World
no
Cup?
more fitting candidate than Mr. Enzo Fernandez. I
Number
remember he
one
scored a
shot
goal,
stopper.
scored a goal in the semifinals, and he celebrated like this. And
I saw
in the
him at
finals,
MIA in the
in the finals,
final.
He he literally played like a donkey, right? He
Get
was
a red card,
fighting, got a
get
red
sent off.
card.
Leave your
Or
team
like,
one man down, get
no,
the
no, no,
L.
no. And like it couldn't have happened to a more deserving player, in my opinion. Like he's a
I
talented
agree.
bloke, but he likes to play on the edge, and sometimes it's fitting when you see players like that, get their karma that they sometimes deserve. So yeah, my butler of the week for certain, Enzo Fernandez. What you saying?
Man, bro, I cannot disagree with that decision because I think Enzo had it coming. And I think that red card actually came late because you should have gotten a red card way before that match in the final. So I'm gonna agree with you, my G. But of the week, Enzo Fernandez, and I hope he keeps bottling it as the Premier League season comes in. So small club Chelsea can wallow in pity and
Oh my goodness.
Okay. So that's been a very fun time with my co-host JR talking about the World Cup 2026. We're gonna wrap it up here. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and follow us on social media platforms. JR_Skipps on Twitter and JR_Skipps_podcast on Instagram. Tap in.